Oh, Netflix, you started out so well, then you threw it all away. I am so confused. The books are all the same length, like exactly the same length, 13 chapters each, and the TV show episodes are the same length. So how is it that the first story was super loyal, but you felt that you had to add a bunch of bullshit to the second one? Once again, spoiler warning, I'm going to be talking about the Netflix show, the Jim Carrey film, and all of the books, so unless you've already had your fill of all three, this video may be unsafe for you. Right, now that that's out of the way, the VFD stuff is just completely taking over. I mean, in the first one it was kind of weird, but they didn't get directly involved enough in the story to cause more than one or two plot holes. I mean, said plot holes mostly being that it made very little sense that they didn't get more directly involved in the plot, but now that they're trying to make it such a big part of the show, none of this shit makes any sense anymore, and honestly, it didn't make all that much sense in the first place. In the original Reptile run book, there's no indication that Dr. Montgomery was part of the VFD, or even that the VFD existed at the time, so it makes sense that if he was going to assume that Olaf was a spy, he would assume that the Herpetological Society sent him. Even taking into account the VFD-related stuff that Handler revealed in his later stories, or in his, so-called unauthorized snicket autobiography, this doesn't make sense the way Netflix is presenting it. When Dr. Montgomery is using a volunteer fire department spyglass to read volunteer fire department messages from a volunteer fire department film, telling him there's volunteer fire department-related danger to the children, it no longer makes sense that he would assume the new suspicious person in the picture is not related to the volunteer fire department. The VFD might have tried to warn Montgomery through code in the dialogue of the film that Stefano was an imposter, but it's mentioned Montgomery probably didn't know the code, because otherwise he wouldn't have left his guard down long enough for Olaf to kill him. Okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start at the beginning of the episode and come back to this. I didn't realise that the theme tune was going to be different every time. I actually think that makes it make even less sense that Neil Patrick Harris is singing it. And it's got spoilers in it. I guess it's official. This show is 100% for the book readers. They're not even trying to hide that. I mean, everyone already knows the plot, so let's throw it in the theme tune, why not? Well, they didn't tone down Snicket like I was hoping. I mean, he's definitely better than Jude Law, who is a great actor but not weird enough to be a good Snicket, but ye gods, they are overplaying him. Man, Sonny continues to be a sassy little thing in this, which I think is more of the film's influence than the books, because, I mean, Sonny was capable of cognitive reasoning in the books, but she didn't have the same sort of audacious cheekiness that she seems to always have when she's being adapted. So, there's something we need to talk about in regards to their casting choice for Mr. Poe and Dr. Montgomery, and I think we all know what it is. Let's not beat around the bush here, they are clearly both much younger than their book counterparts. If you thought I was going somewhere else with that, that's on you. With Mr. Poe, it's just a feeling I got from the way he acted in the books, you know, it sort of felt like he was an older guy. With Montgomery, it's a lot more blatant. I mean, he makes references to being an older gentleman all the time, like how long he's been the forerunner in the field of studying snakes. When this guy starts saying things like, life flies by like a winged lizard and now I'm too old to start a family, I'm just like, dude, you're clearly in your mid-30s at most. What the fuck are you talking about? I also felt like this actor was either phoning it in a little bit, or he just lacked the energy needed to play someone like Montgomery. I mean, if you want to be a convincing, lovable eccentric, you have to really go for it, you know? I think one of the issues here is it's really, really hard to follow Billy Connolly. I mean, even if you're playing the character much closer to how he was in the books. You know someone's an acting legend when people are willing to CGI them a younger body rather than cast someone else. Straight up saying this guy was going to die early on may seem like an odd move, but that was straight out of the book, so props to them for that. The actor playing Klaus is really starting to get on my nerves. Damn it, Crocodile, my parents are dead and I'm upset about it. People are telling me he gets better later. It's gonna have to be a big improvement. It feels like an odd choice for the kids to be so much more distrustful of Uncle Monty in this. I mean, I know that's part of them trying to tie it more into the VFD stuff, because they kept seeing suspicious things that he was into, like the shape of his maze being the eye and everything, but I don't know, I kind of feel like if they're a bit suspicious and distrustful of him, that kind of takes away from how sad they would feel when he's killed. It's pretty clear at this point that it is essential that you find Neil Patrick Harris doing funny voices amusing for you to have a good time with the show. Most of the time, it's still falling pretty flat with me, though just once or twice he gets to me, and then I kind of hate myself for it. Unfortunately, there's still plenty of stuff in this that serves as a reminder that this series has a very bad case of the not funnies. Like, when Stefano and Montgomery are just going butts at each other for about a minute. I mean, that was probably my favourite. Okay, back to the lack of sense-making they introduced into this. In the book, Monty blamed Klaus for leaving his lamp on the windowsill when it nearly fell on him, instead of acknowledging that it was a murder attempt, and there was no botched kidnapping at the movie, so I feel behooved to ask, how is it that he still thought Stefano was working with the Herpetological Society after these events? I mean, they're not the fucking mafia. And please don't try and tell me that he actually did know the score and was just pretending for the sake of the children. They were in the car and out of hearing range when this conversation took place. Anyway, so Neil Patrick Harris looked straight at the camera and plugged Netflix a few times in this. Which, I mean, I'm okay with that sort of humour in principle, it's just odd that they waited till episode 3 before they broke the fourth wall. A big plot point in the books was the kids getting the fake doctor, Olaf and Poe, to start trying to figure out what combination of people should go in what car when they left. So, Olaf was trying to get the orphans alone with him, the kids were insisting they not be in the same car as the body, and there was a bunch of other stuff too. They sort of paid homage to this, but whittled it down to a quick argument about who was going to go into the reptile room. Olaf attempting to blame the incredibly deadly Viper for killing Monty is, I think, another leftover influence from the film, because he never tried to do that in the books. He chose one of the genuinely venomous snakes originally to avoid the truth about the misnomer interrupting his plans. Sonny playing with it was mostly just a distraction in the book so Violet could sneak off and look in Olaf's case. It's only been since the movie that that's become more integral to the foiling of Olaf. One thing that always bothered me in the books was, why did Olaf and all his henchmen always run away from Mr. Poe? I mean, they clearly had no issues with murder, and Poe was always alone and not a very formidable person, so I never really understood why they always legged it when the kids proved that Olaf was Olaf. I very much liked that Netflix addressed this in the 4th episode and had it so the reptiles had to scare them off. It felt like an itch had been scratched, you know? Credit where credit's due, Netflix is nailing certain things from the books. I mean, things like Mr. Poe panicking when he saw the baby with the snake was just spot on. And in fact, I think I've warmed up to Mr. Poe's humour in general a bit more in these episodes, so that's a good sign. They remembered to include things like Dr. Montgomery trying to bond with the children over coconut cake, and the reason that he gave the incredibly deadly Viper its name, and they also included the fortuitous car crash that forestalled Olaf's plans. And I mean, this is only so far, but I do like that they are being a lot more subtle with the way they present the contradictory technology level, so you're never quite sure what year it is, but they're not just sort of just shoving it in your face like the film did. Actually, I think that might be part of the problem. Netflix is proving it can do such a good job of recreating the books when they want to, it's really frustrating me that they're not doing as good a job when it comes to embellishing it and adding stuff in. Violet's saving the day by creating enough doubt with Mr. Poe about Stefano that he would check his ankle again by going for all his possessions and showing how he might have killed Monty, is very book accurate. Which is odd because I can't for the life of me figure out why it was satisfying and almost exciting in the book, but just straight up dull when they did the same thing in the show. I think it must be one of those quintessentially unadaptable sort of moments, I guess. All the stuff after that with the kids following Olaf into the maze is all added in, and I have to ask, what exactly was the Baudelaire children's plan for if they actually managed to catch up with the knife-wielding murderer? I'm just going to throw that out there. And then we get the secretary character again. I think Poe calls her Jacqueline. Lord help me, she makes even less sense in this episode. She spent days pretending to be a statue. I mean, okay, that's pretty impressive, but how did that help anyone? It's not like the VFD needed to keep tabs on the children, they already had a volunteer looking after them. It's the same thing as before, her actions at the end make her actions in the rest of it nonsensical. I mean, if she's going to try and arrest Olaf and have a big fight with him, why the fuck didn't she try and do that before he killed Monty? And she really just stood there motionless while the orphans had to save themselves again. And it's not like she had any issues with revealing herself to them, because she does that right after she could have done anything helpful. Sorry, I think my voice is really starting to go now. It's like Netflix wants to retell the story with more blatant VFD involvement, but but they also want to keep the original story unaffected, so for no reason the VFD agents only ever get involved once it's too late. They are half adapting this, and it is not working. Handler added in plenty of plot holes when he wrote in all the Secret Society stuff near the end of the books, and they are just doubling down on that far too much. Oh, and Olaf somehow grew his eyebrow back instantly. Did anyone else notice that? I mean, you can't wear a flat cap on your face, that's just silly. I think I'm just going to have to come to terms with the fact that Count Olaf is going to be a very funny character from now on. Thanks to Jim Carrey's performance, every adaptation of these books forevermore will conveniently forget that Book Olaf was a lot of things. He was cunning, he was creepy, he was pure evil, but he was never goofy. He's meant to be one of those characters that you don't have to feel guilty about hating and wishing that he'd get eaten alive by leeches. I believe TV Tropes refers to it as a hate sink. Neil Patrick Harris may be playing him just nasty enough that you're no longer actively rooting for him, but it's just not Count Olaf. If you like him being the star of the show and the funniest thing in it, I am genuinely happy for you, and I'm happy that it's helping make this show successful, but it's just not Count Olaf, I'm sorry. And finally, thank you so much to all the dozens of people who left comments on YouTube, Twitter and Facebook telling me that these are not the Baudelaire parents. You sure saved me from finding that out for myself, and a whole bunch of jokes I was planning to make about it in the meantime. Well, here's hoping they can pull it back a bit in the next episode and stop getting up their own arses so much playing up the VFD stuff that their story stops resembling the early books. I realise that's almost certainly a forlorn hope at this point, but oh well. Hey beautiful watchers, I just wanted to give you a quick reminder that there's a variety of rewards you can earn by becoming a Patreon, including early access to all videos, getting to be a part of the survey about how many people saw the film and read the book, or playing Minecraft with me on my 24-hour server. Higher level contributors can also join the Dom Skype chat room and best of all choose future episodes of Lost in Adaptation. However, if right now you are thinking, my goodness the Dom, I can't do that, all of my funds are being put towards raising an army to defeat my house's ancient rival and avenge my father. Fear not, if you would instead be willing to like, share, subscribe, or a combination of all three, that goes a long way towards helping my channel grow and reach new beautiful watchers. Have a most pleasant day, and I will see you soon.